The relationship has definitely deteriorated in recent years. We've seen, since the Trump administration took office, the administration imposed trade sanctions on China. We've seen China increasingly putting military pressure on U.S. alliances in East Asia and on the territorial status quo in East Asia. We've also seen the recent Hong Kong sanctions bill that the administration passed. And of course, we've seen recently the Trump administration asking China to close its consulate in Houston, where many people argue that this is a center for China to steal American technology and intellectual property, and also to gather intelligence and use it against the United States. So in so many different aspects, in the diplomatic aspect, in the economic aspect, and the military aspect as well, we've definitely seen a deterioration in bilateral relations. I think actually at the root of the change, at the root of the deterioration in relations between the US and China, we see this big geopolitical change going on, which is China's rise. It's growing economic power and it's growing military power. So that's the thing that you can see is leading China to have much larger capabilities with which to challenge the United States, maybe increased ambition to challenge the United States. And then also looking at the US side, we have to think about, is our foreign policy, our national security policy that we had when we were an unrivaled, unchallenged power in the world, is that still an appropriate policy for a world in which we see great power competition? I personally would say that this is a time of growing risk, growing danger, certainly growing strategic mistrust in our relationship. I think what people are getting at when they use that phrase is that we are in an era of greater risk, greater danger, less trust of one another, and greater competition. And that is absolutely something that we are seeing. Well, the future of U.S.-China relations is going to be really difficult. It's going to be challenging to manage a more powerful China, a more assertive China, and depending on just how powerful and assertive China gets, it could be extremely difficult, leading to a risk of military crises. And we certainly hope not war. So it's going to be very challenging because the U.S. has defined its interests very broadly. We care about human rights all around the world. We care about spreading democracy, which obviously China has a big problem with, being an authoritarian country. So this is a relationship where we have the potential for a lot of friction. And we have a lot of flashpoints in this relationship that we see are growing a lot more intense as time is going by, and requiring some important decision making on the part of the US and its partners around the world to figure out how should we manage China's rise in a way that we feel we're also defending our key interests.